When the draft ends, I just get so excited for the new football season to come in a few months, specifically 5. Well, maybe 4 now, but as far as to say, this is our first good draft in a very long time. Nah, I'm just playing. It's a pretty good while. But seriously, Terry Fontenot was cooking in this draft class. Oh yeah, not just the draft class, but the undrafted free agents as well. Some of our most notable undrafted free agents that we signed: Nick Nash from San Jose State and Kobe Bryant from Kansas. How the hell did they not get drafted and somehow we picked them up as well? Man, I sure do hope it is a great season to be an Atlanta Falcon this year. Michael Penix, show us almost exactly like you did on film and in the last 3 games you just played last season. We should be in good hands. But anyway, speaking of the draft, let's talk about it. The first round and also some big steals in the other rounds. Welcome back to Grizzly Talks Football. As always, I am the Grizz, and this episode we are obviously talking about every pick in the first round, giving my analysis and grades on those picks, and also talking about my biggest steal from rounds 2 through 7. There's going to be some huge hot takes, there's going to be some safe opinions, who knows? Because these guys are young kids that haven't seen the field yet, and it's only a matter of time before we see them step on a football field. So, my opinion will always be there, but the performance on the field will be the judgment call. As always, if you are looking to see every episode of this season and also have it for future episodes whenever I post them, make sure you check the link in the description for the entire playlist of Season 2. You also can find my playlist as well to find Season 1 of Grizzly Talks Football if you need that as well. Also, don't forget to hit the red subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my videos. Without further ado, let's get into this NFL draft recap. So yeah, the draft officially ended on Saturday night, which was 2 days ago. And we're going to be talking about only the first round, and then we're also going over the biggest steal from every other round, which is round 2 to round 7. But let's get to the first pick, shall we? By the way, shout out to CBS Sports. I'm using their website to find out about all these draft picks, so let's get straight to it. Kick things off, we had the first overall pick possessed by the Tennessee Titans, and they selected Cam Ward from the University of Miami. Tennessee picked their quarterback of the future. I give this one an A. If you guys are confused on how I'm going to be ranking these, if you are making an obvious pick, you're not getting an A+, because people are expecting you to make that pick. If you get an A+, that means you got a steal. That's the difference. Just to clarify for those who are going to be confused in the comments about how I'm ranking these draft picks. But let's be honest, the Titans QB room was complete dog shit. It was like Will Levis and then Tim Boyle? What the hell kind of world are we living in right now, Tennessee? I had the whole depth chart before Cam Ward was selected. It was Will Levis, Brandon Allen, and Tim Boyle. It doesn't get any worse than that. Titans desperately needed a quarterback, and they got one in Cam Ward. I think this guy is going to be a beast if he has all the weapons around him that he needs. And I also heard that they decided to sign Xavier Restrepo as an undrafted free agent as well, reuniting him with his former quarterback at college. I gotta say, the offensive line could be very interesting. I think they have the potential to be in the top half of offensive line units. Receiving core needs some work. The Restrepo signing was awesome, but as of right now, their starting receiving core is Calvin Ridley, Van Jefferson, and Traylon Burks. That's not great. They also got Tyler Lockett as well. Running back is also a big question mark. We know how good Tony Pollard can be, but can Tyjae Spears, who is currently a raw prospect out of Tulane, can he step up and be that great running back 2 that the Titans need? That's all the question marks I have on offense. Defensively, they did lose Harold Landry, which is a pretty big loss. Their defense is actually okay at the moment. If they can get a couple good weapons on defense, that'd be great too. Titans were a 2 or 3 win squad. that I think Cam Ward edition, the first overall pick, that definitely helps them get to 5 or 6 wins. But that's also why they got 2 more players. A safety from Penn State that I will mention a little bit later. But they also got edge from UCLA, Oluwafemi Oladejo, in the second round. That was a pretty big move for Tennessee. But as far as this first overall pick, it was a very safe pick, I gotta say. Very obvious, but very safe. Moving on, we have the first big move of the draft happen at pick 2, which is crazy to think. But the Cleveland Browns traded the second overall pick to the Jaguars. It was kind of a pick swap, but there was more assets to it. The actual trade was the second overall pick along with a 4th and a 6th going to Jacksonville. And what did the Browns get in return? They got the 5th overall pick, a 2nd round pick, and a 4th round pick, along with a 1st round pick next year. Very crazy deal, but with that number 2 pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars selected Travis Hunter from Colorado. This is also getting an A from me. It was a very obvious pick. Jaguars definitely had to make this move. Travis Hunter is pretty arguably the best prospect in this draft class. I would argue for Abdul Carter, but both of these two are going to be studs, along with Cam Ward at the quarterback spot. The big question mark is, how are the Jaguars going to use Travis Hunter? Are they going to put him in the slot receiver? Are they going to put him in the slot at the nickel back? And then they're going to have him do outside? Who knows, but only time will tell. This is going to be a very intriguing part of the Jacksonville Jaguars. You obviously got Brian Thomas at wideout. That'd be a great duo at receiver, Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas. You also got Tyson Campbell, who's a rising star at corner. Along with Travis Hunter, that'd be a great duo as well. The possibilities are endless. But as far as what the future looks for Travis Hunter, I feel like it's more going to be starting at wideout, because I heard that the second round pick that Jacksonville picked was actually Caleb Ransall, corner from Tulane. So maybe it's going to be like a nickelback for Travis Hunter, and then wideout at the other side of Brian Thomas. Who knows? Only time will tell, and that's not my decision. That's going to be for the Jacksonville's front office to make. Not only a very good weapon for Trevor Lawrence to be able to use, but also a good secondary piece in the Jacksonville's defense. He's going to be a very exciting player to watch. With the 3rd overall pick, the New York Giants went out and selected Abdul Carter, edge rusher from Penn State. This is also an A. In my opinion, the best prospect in this draft class. He is an absolute monster on that front 7, and he's going to prove that very, very soon. I mean, what else is there to say about this guy? This guy is an absolute freak athlete. Maybe there were some people that thought maybe the Giants would take a quarterback, but I was not exactly expecting them to, especially when one of the best players in the country was available at pick 3, and Giants took full advantage of it. Up next at pick number 4, the New England Patriots picked Will Campbell, an offensive lineman from LSU. He was the best offensive lineman available, so I would say a minus. Really, because there are some doubts about him as a tackle, because as a guard, that's where he fits better, to be fair. But especially at a guy his size, at 6'6", 319, he should be a pretty good blindside blocker for New England. Especially since you gotta protect Drake May, right? But let's be honest, there are a bunch of needs that New England needs to get back into contention like they used to with Tom Brady. But this was a good start for the New England Patriots, especially there's wide receiver, needed to get some defensive additions as well, including the interior of the offensive line, but like I said before, this is a good start to addressing those needs. Remember the trade I mentioned 3 picks ago? Jaguars gave up their 5th pick in that package to the Cleveland Browns to get that number 2 pick. So, with that 5th overall pick, the Browns selected Mason Graham, defensive lineman out of Michigan. This one for me is also an A. A minus, should I say. Probably the best defensive lineman besides Abdul Carter on the board. And the Browns need a defensive line to pair with Myles Garrett, and they also needed a corner. So it was definitely a tough decision for Cleveland to make. He is 6'3", he's 296 pounds. As far as the inside tackler on the defensive side, he doesn't have the size, but he does have the talent. I don't think size is exactly a fair way to judge somebody. It's really going to come down to how he plays on the field, but I feel like this was a good pick by Cleveland, even though compared to what they could have had, they definitely screwed up here. Well, at least for Cleveland, they got a nice draft capital package along with it. They also got a first-round pick next year, so could be helpful. With the 6th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders selected Ashton Jeanty, running back out of Boise State. This is easily an A. One of the easiest A's of my life. Nah, I'm just kidding, but seriously, this was one of the most obvious picks besides the number 1 pick in this year's draft. Especially since the NFL is turning into a run-heavy sort of offense. We're not seeing 5,000-yard passers like we've used to. And now we are seeing 2,000-yard rushers. We got plenty of 1,000-yard rushers from last year. And it's really starting to turn into that run-heavy offense that I think the 2000s used to have. And Ashton Jeanty fits in this kind of style of football perfectly. Especially since Pete Carroll wants to run the football. I mean, come on, he had Marshawn Lynch for several years. Of course he wants to run the ball. Besides Kenneth Walker, besides Saj Charbonnet, he never had a running back since Marshawn Lynch that has been able to do some damage. And now, on the Raiders, he's got somebody. I know what some people may say, oh, it's too high for a running back to go high. This guy is a major exception along with Saquon Barkley. I really do hope that he does go off for 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns at least, because he's that much of a beast. Like the Browns and also the Patriots, they had a lot of needs to address as well, but this was a good start to it. But they needed to find their Robert Spillane replacement. They needed to find some good wideouts, all that stuff. This is pretty much on the same boat as New England. With the 7th pick, the New York Jets went out and selected Armand Membu, offensive tackle from Missouri. This is my lowest grade of the day, but I gotta say B- on this one. I understand the pick. They needed offensive line more than anything to protect Justin Fields as a New York Jet. I just think Kelvin Banks was definitely better, I will say. In my mock draft, I had Jets taking Kelvin Banks because, he's an absolute beast for Texas, but I completely understand why they took him. Has crazy talent. Tremendous upside. It's just the problem with Membu is that he's very raw. He has some raw talent, and he may need to sit behind for a couple of years to be able to usually fit in that New York style of football, which, I gotta be honest, is not very good. I wouldn't say it's a terrible pick, but definitely some better options out there. This is kind of a hit or miss kind of prospect that the Jets got. With the 8th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers went out and selected Tator McMillan, wide receiver from Arizona. A grade for me. I know what y'all are thinking. Panthers need a defense as well. I know that. But this class was so deep in defensive talent. I mean, you can't go wrong with the best receiver in the class, arguably. Another big target for Bryce Young to throw to, hopefully not to completely miss at the beginning of the season. But at 6'5", 212, that's going to be a hard target for Bryce Young to miss. If even he gets missed, that would be impressive. And yeah, Bryce Young might be back to being a bust. McMillan might not have the best 40-yard dash, but if he can go out there and catch the ball and run routes, that'll be a major problem for defenses alike. Definitely a top prospect in this class. Not only the best receiver, but one of the best prospects in this class. Carolina definitely got something going here when they drafted McMillan. I'm hoping they use him well, though. As a focus pin, I should say, no, he should not be used correctly, but I really do hope that he does get used well. I mean, come on, we had to play against him, and any other year, he would have torched us, but Arizona had a bad year, so, Ninth overall pick, the New Orleans Saints went out and picked Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle from Texas. This is an A grade for me. People would say this is a steal, but I don't think it's that much of a steal. I mean, we all know he's going to be good, but come on, I think people were expecting this pick to happen. That is a good start for New Orleans to really rebuild their offense around Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Jawan Johnson, and all that stuff. This is a very good start for New Orleans to go after offensive line right away. Not much else to say except this is a great pick by New Orleans. With the 10th overall pick, this was one of the bigger shockers in this draft. The Chicago Bears selected Colston Loveland, tight end from Michigan. You know why this was shocking? Because they have Cole Kmet still there. He actually had a decent season last year. But I'll go ahead and say A-. Like, the talent is there. He's got great pass catching skills. He's going to fit nicely in that Ben Johnson offense. It's just, I feel like Bears could have taken defense in this first round, but they decided not to. The Bears did what we did like the past 4 drafts, taking offensive player in the first round, but I understood all 4 of those picks. But for Bears, I do kind of understand this. Like, you need a great tight end to pair up with Cole Kmet, but I'm not sure what y'all are doing. Why did you go out there and get a tight end when you just re-signed Cole Kmet? Who do you think you are, the Raiders? I'm picking A- for this one because the talent is definitely there. And I'm really hopeful to see what Colston Loveland can be used for in that Ben Johnson offense. Up next with the 11th pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Mykel Williams, edge rusher from Georgia. People are going to say this was kind of a reach. I don't think so. I think this is an A- as well. Obviously, he didn't have a great 2024, but he does have the talent, and he's going to be on the other side of Nick Bosa, going to take some pressure off of that other side of the defensive line. But let's be honest, San Francisco needs a lot of help right now because a lot of their star players went elsewhere. They went out the window, went to other teams. This is a good start for them. When I say they needed defensive help, I mean they needed defensive help. I'm very sure most of their draft class was like mostly all defenders, with the exception of Jordan Watkins from Ole Miss, Jordan James from Oregon, and Curtis Rourke from Indiana. Interesting. With the 12th pick, the Dallas Cowboys select Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama. This was a reach, but not that much. I'm going to say B here. Cowboys also need a receiver, but I completely understand. But why the hell are you getting 3 Tylers on your offensive line? Like what? Does Jerry Jones believe that having a name Tyler means you're going to be a great Dallas Cowboy? I have no clue. I think Tyler Booker has first round talent, but I was not expecting him to be picked this early. I had him being picked like 19 spots after his official pick on Thursday. But maybe Jerry Jones and Brent Schellheimer see something in Tyler Booker that some of us do not. Who knows? And with the 13th pick, the Miami Dolphins selected Kenneth Grant, defensive lineman from Michigan. Another Michigan D lineman going into the top 15. I think this is an A-. One of the biggest needs for Miami heading into the draft was a defensive lineman, especially on the interior, and Kenneth Grant definitely fits in there. He is very powerful. This was definitely a strong pick. I definitely underestimated how good the Dolphins would draft in the first round. So, hey, good pick, Miami. Oh yeah, and spoiler alert, Miami didn't pick a single receiver. With the 14th pick, the Colts selected Tyler Warren, tight end from Penn State. First A+ of the draft. Colts needed tight end for so many years. It's not even funny. Their best tight end was Mo Alley-Cox. That's bad. They desperately needed a tight end, and they got arguably the best one in my opinion. 6'6", 260. Like, he is definitely an all-around tight end. He can block, he can catch, he can run routes. Like, you got a guy who could be great at everything. I'm excited to see how the Colts use him. They got a couple other needs like offensive line, defensive backs, but tight end was the biggest need of them all, and I think they got the best one. Oh, here we go. With the 15th pick, the Atlanta Falcons selected Jalen Walker, linebacker from Georgia. He's staying home. Also an A+, because I could do that. It's my team. I could judge my team however I want them. No, but seriously, I would have picked A+ as a non-Falcons fan anyway, because the fact that he fell to 15 is actually insane. I thought maybe he would go in the top 10, but they surprised me with this one. I think the only reason he slid was because of injury concerns, but come on. The talent is there, and he's a great pass rushing linebacker, so we definitely needed something like this. That wasn't the only pass rush pick that we got. With the 16th pick, the Arizona Cardinals went out and selected Walter Nolan, defensive lineman from Ole Miss. I don't think many of you have heard this name in such a long time. He was the former, I believe, #1 recruit on ESPN. He committed to Texas A&M. Then they sucked with Jimbo Fisher, and then he transferred to Ole Miss. That's the whole story on Walter Nolan. Inconsistencies are definitely an issue, but maybe he can be great with Calais Campbell and David Tomlinson as teammates. This was just one of many needs on defense besides interior offensive line, because they needed some defensive talent badly, and this was a good start to it. With the 17th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Shamar Stewart, edge rusher from Texas A&M. This actually might be my lowest grade so far. I gotta say a C. I agree with CBS on this one. I am so glad that Atlanta did not pick Stewart, because this guy can't get to the quarterback. That was proven last year. In addition to that, apparently according to CBS, he lacks football instincts and he has raw talent. So he definitely has some upside, but yeah, he just lacks football instincts, not a lot of production. He needs to learn how to play some football. This could be one of those first-round picks that don't end up making a roster, maybe even don't even last like 3-4 years, ends up getting traded for scraps. I think this is kind of the first guy that's going to be on that category. I gotta be honest, I feel like Membu might be on that same boat. With the 18th pick, the Seattle Seahawks went out and selected Gray Zabel, interior offensive lineman from North Dakota State. A-. I kind of think this is a reach, but at the same time, this was honestly not a bad pick for Seattle. He had a great Senior Bowl. He could play any position on the offensive line. Like, this is just one of many offensive linemen that the Seattle needs, because they need it badly. But I am very sure he's going to be playing inside because of 2 late-round offensive tackles that they picked up. Not sure how well they're going to use Gray Zabel. Which position is he going to play? That's going to be the biggest question, but I think this is a good pick for Seattle. I hope he does play well as far as protected Sam Darnold goes this year. With the 19th pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver from Ohio State. What? A wide receiver? I'll be honest, this is a C+. Only goes up from C to C+, because the talent for Egbuka is there. Straight up. I mean, I do understand. Mike Evans is getting old. Chris Godwin has injury concerns. You still have drafted Jay McMillan last year. But I see defense is a way bigger need than Tampa Bay does at wide receiver. Oh yeah, spoiler alert, they got another wide receiver in the 7th round. Dude, I'm not even joking. The only positions that Tampa Bay drafted this year were corners, edges, and wide receivers. I'm not clickbaiting. That is the actual thing. But they do look like they all are going to be good. So I'll give them that. But as far as what you could have gotten instead of Amika Buka, this was definitely a little flop. I think he'll be a future wide receiver 1, maybe wide receiver 2 in the future with Tampa Bay, but as far as who they could have gotten, this was definitely a big miss. With the 20th pick, the Denver Broncos selected Jahdae Barron, corner from Texas. This is a B for me. Great defensive back. He can actually play outside and inside at safety if they really do need him there. Fortunately for them, they didn't get another corner, so he'll probably have to play on the other side of Pat Surtain. But he does have some good coverage skills, which is very good for a defensive back. The only question that people have is that if he's a pure corner. They said the same thing about Cooper DeJean. I think Jahdae Barron can be definitely successful as a corner on the other side of Pat Surtain. He doesn't have as much pressure on him as Pat Surtain does because, let's be honest, being on the other side of one of the best corners in the game, arguably the best, is definitely a good thing for Jahdae Barron to get behind. I think this will turn out to be a good pick, but right now I'm at a B+, not a B. With the 21st pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers went out and selected Derek Harmon, defensive lineman from Oregon. A-. They didn't reach for a quarterback, they went out and addressed one of their bigger needs, which is a defensive lineman. I know they have Mason Rudolph as their quarterback, but this is definitely a good move for Pittsburgh. They did indeed draft a quarterback a little bit later, but addressing defensive needs right away I think was a very smart move, especially on the defensive line. Cam Hayward's on the brink of retirement. This definitely makes a lot of sense. Steelers improving the defense a little more, adding to that already good front seven with TJ Watt and Cam Hayward, along with Alex Heisman. Definitely a solid move for Pittsburgh. With the 22nd pick, the LA Chargers selected Omarion Hampton, running back out of North Carolina. Yes, my opinion, the second best running back in the class. This is getting a B+ as well. Honestly, think maybe they could have just went after a little Joey Bosa replacement, but honestly, Hampton at running back is honestly not a bad pick. I mean, come on, Jim Harbaugh wants to run the ball. J.K. Dobbins was a pretty good runner, but Omarion Hampton, I feel like he might be better. And they also picked up Najee Harris, which is going to be a little bit of a question mark, like who's going to start and who's going to be behind. I do feel like Omarion Hampton can learn a thing or two from two speedy running backs. Well, Najee Harris is more of a power guy. J.K. Dobbins is more of the juke you out of your shoes guy. He could definitely learn something for those two, Omarion Hampton can. Honestly, a very safe pick for the Chargers, even though I may have felt like they could have actually went tight end here or defensive line. Spoiler alert, they addressed both of those needs that I just said in the later rounds. With the 23rd pick, the Green Bay Packers selected Matthew Golden, wideout from Texas. This is a definite A+. He should have been gone a long time ago. Let's be real. Maybe there was like somebody who needed a wideout. Chargers maybe. But Matthew Golden becomes the first Green Bay Packers first round receiver since 2002. How in the hell did the Packers wait 23 years to draft the receiver in the first round? What? Yeah, but honestly, this was a great pick, and this also makes sense because Packers have injury issues at receiver. They don't have a big impact receiver. That's what Golden is supposed to become in Green Bay. Obviously, you got a great quarterback in Jordan Love. Great running game with Josh Jacobs. Good offensive line. Defense, definitely in the top half of the league. One thing that the Packers needed was a wide receiver. They definitely got some good tight ends here. I think Tucker Kraft was there as well. He's definitely a good tight end out there. This Packers team could make a playoff run this year. Watch out for them. Oh yeah, and also Tom Grossi made a pick for the Packers. Good for you, man. But seriously, no. You did a lot of things for your community. You definitely deserve that. Speaking of Green Bay, here comes their rival, Minnesota Vikings, with the 24th pick. They selected Donovan Jackson, interior O-lineman from Ohio State. But honestly, I feel like this is a B plus here because the pick definitely made sense. Maybe there was like another offensive lineman that was like a little bit better, but Vikings needed interior and they got one in Donovan Jackson. He'll play guard for Minnesota, so that's a pretty good one. People may not agree with this pick, but honestly, I think this is pretty good for Minnesota. Oh yeah, and by the way, I need to start paying attention to Minnesota because recently they signed undrafted free agent from BYU, Tyler Batty. I can't wait to see what he does in Minnesota. Hopefully he becomes a starter from years to come because that guy is talented as fuck, dude. With the 25th pick, oh wait, we got a trade in this one. First trade since the pick 2 trade, pick 2 to 5. This was some tomfoolery bullshit that New York pulled because Houston gave up the 25th overall pick to the Giants for a second and a third. What? How? How did you not have to give up a first round pick for this? Even more shocking than the trade was who the Giants picked. Because with the 25th pick, the Giants selected Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. I think this was the pick that made teams think that Shedeur actually wasn't going to be good. And that is when Mel Kiper started having a crash out moment, and I mean a total meltdown, that Shedeur wasn't getting picked. By the way, yes, he did get picked. Not until day 3, though. I don't know, man. Like, Jackson Dart? I mean, Daboll was definitely pushing for him. Hopefully he doesn't become Daniel Jones 2.0. I'm not saying Daniel Jones is completely awful, but as far as, like, being hated by New York fans, that kind of Daniel Jones is what I'm looking at. As far as the grade, I feel like C+ is more fair. Not sure how good he's going to be, but sitting behind 2 veterans, very interesting personalities as veterans, is going to be really interesting to figure out if he's going to be a good quarterback or not. But maybe in the near future, people are going to be saying, welcome to the Dart era of New York sports. And another trade, I feel like if you guys saw the 2 reactions I did on the 15th and 26th overall picks, this is why the 26th pick one was there. Because unbeknownst to me at the time, Atlanta traded for the 26th pick with the LA Rams. Classic Rams, giving up your first round pick for no damn reason. At least you got a Super Bowl, man. So basically, the Rams traded the 26th overall pick along with the 3rd round pick to Atlanta to get our 2nd, our 7th, and our 1st from next year. 2nd and 7th for this year, I mean. And so many so-called experts were judging the pick based on the trade for the last time. I'm saying this once and once only. If you're going to be judging a draft pick, do not judge the pick because of a trade. No, don't ever do that. Judge the pick on who is selected, not on what was given up for this pick. Okay? Anyways, with that rant out of the way, with the 26th pick, the Atlanta Falcons selected James Pierce, edge rusher from Tennessee. I'm rating this an A+ as well. Come on. Top 10 talent at 26? Whew. That edge is going to be gross. I mean, the pass rush is definitely going to be gross if these 2 actually pan out. Obviously, off-the-field concerns hurt his stock, but a lot of people had the Falcons taking him in mock drafts at 15. But the fact that we got Jalen Walker and James Pierce makes this first round one of the best for Atlanta in a very long time. I would think best one since Julio Jones in 2010. You guys know he already retired. Oh yeah, by the way, it was 2011, not 2010. I messed up there. But yeah, he retired this year. Hey, Julio Jones, you did so well for Atlanta. Enjoy your future endeavors, brother. But anyways, as for this pick, of course, he's a big-time steal in my opinion. Not as big time as the next pick, but James Pierce, I am very much hoping that he is going to be a breakout star as an edge rusher. Speaking of the next pick, the 27th pick was wielded by the Ravens, and they selected Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. This might be the easiest A+ out there. Ravens got an absolute stud at 27. Another top 10 talent that should have been picked a long time ago, but fell to 27. Like, come on now. This went according to plan because of their second round pick. I will let you on that in a little bit. But seriously, Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton in that safety duo, let me tell you, that was going to be a top 5 safety duo for like the next decade if this pans out for Malachi Starks. This is huge for Baltimore. An amazing pick of D for Baltimore. Am I regretting not taking Malachi Starks? Just a bit. People saying we should have picked him, stop. We needed edge rusher for so long. Ever since we picked Beasley, we haven't drafted a great edge rusher. We needed to. With the 28th pick, the Detroit Lions went out and selected Tyleik Williams, defensive lineman from Ohio State. A very interesting pick in my opinion. Obviously, Mike Green from Marshall was still at the board at this point, so Lions could have went with him, but they decided not to. They decided to go to the interior. I'll say a B-. Like, this was a good addressing needs situation for Detroit. But honestly, yeah, I feel like edge could have been the better choice here. But good defensive lineman to take the pressure off of Aiden Hutchinson this year. With the 29th pick, the Washington Commanders went out and selected Josh Conerly Jr., offensive tackle from Oregon. I say this is a B. There was another offensive tackle available that you could have gotten instead, but as long as you got offensive line, it's pretty good. It's a very solid pick. It was more of a safe pick than a flashy one. That's pretty good for Washington standards, assuming they went to the NFC Championship game in their first year with Jane Daniels. Needed to protect him at all costs, and this is a good addition for that. With the 30th pick, the Buffalo Bills selected Maxwell Hairston, corner from Kentucky. When I saw this pick go down, I was a little shocked because I was thinking Will Johnson would be the pick here. However, I think this is an A. He is 100% going to be an immediate starter. Between Hairston and Johnson, either one of them was going to be an immediate starter in Buffalo, assuming of the secondary depth that Buffalo has at the moment. There isn't really much else to say. Bills got a great corner with their 30th pick, and it was actually a pretty good choice. And now the final trade happened between the two Super Bowl teams, the Chiefs and Eagles. Philadelphia traded their 32nd pick and a 5th rounder to get Kansas City's 31st pick. I feel like it was a little bit much. I feel like they could have just pick swapped. But, 31st pick, if you could get a big player here, that would be great. And get a big player Philadelphia did. Because with that 31st pick, Philadelphia selected Jahad Campbell, linebacker from Alabama. A+ for me. This guy was top 15 talent, and he fell to 31. Howie Roseman, you son of a bitch, you done it again. Especially since you see the linebacker core that Philadelphia has. Nolan Smith, Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean. Oh boy. Jahad Campbell? Ooh boy. Just another defensive upgrade for the Super Bowl champs. Very nice pick. And of course, with the 32nd pick, the final pick of the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs selected, oh my gosh, Josh Simmons, offensive tackle from Ohio State. Easily A+. How the fuck did this guy fall to Kansas City? Obviously, injury concerns definitely tampered his, draft stock, but Kansas City taking a chance on him, I feel like it's going to be a smart move. Especially with all the interior offensive linemen going away. Well, more specifically, Joe Thuney getting traded to Chicago. This was definitely a good start. Offensive lineman was a big need for Kansas City, and they went out and got one of the best ones. Obviously, a very fantastic pick for Kansas City. Surprised he fell this low. And now, with the first round coming to an end, I'm here to talk about my biggest steal in the second round. I'm going to go over the 5 of them from each round. I'm going to go quickly on 4 of them, but then talk about my biggest steal a lot more. So the first honorable mention steal of the second round was Nick Imanwari, safety from South Carolina, going to the Seahawks. I had him going in the first round, and he got picked early in the second round. He's got great deep coverage skills. He is a very talented safety, and oh boy, this could be a banger for Seattle. Maybe Legion of Boom could come back, who knows? My second steal of this second round was Will Johnson, corner from Michigan, going to the Cardinals. Also first round talent, getting taken here at the 47th pick. That was a major steal for Arizona. He is a corner. Like, Arizona needed defensive help anyway. This is definitely one of the best ones for them. They obviously picked Walter Nolan in the first round to help with the interior of the defensive line. This is to help with the secondary on the outside. Good pick by Arizona. Third steal of this round has got to be Benjamin Morrison, corner from Notre Dame, going to Tampa Bay. I'm surprised he fell this low in the second round. Maybe he was like early second round for me, but not in the 53rd pick for Tampa Bay to go out there and snag. First round talent when healthy. Ball skills are great. Like, he could definitely improve his tackling, but he is a big play defensive back. He's going to be paired up with Zion McCollum. I think the Buccaneers got a steal right here with this pick. My fourth and final honorable mention for steal of the second round, Jack Beck, wide receiver from TCU. He went to the Vegas Raiders in a trade. Let me actually look that up. So the Raiders had a trade with somebody for the 48th pick, but then they decided to trade that pick to Houston. They traded a 48th pick for the number 58th pick and an additional third round pick. Oh yeah, the Raiders traded with the Dolphins for that 48th pick, by the way, from 37 to 48. Even if Jack's not an electric separator, he can catch everything. He's a great route runner. He is amazing after the catch. Like, he's everything you want in a wide receiver. This was an amazing pick by Las Vegas, who had a desperate need for a great wide receiver. Some honorable mentions that I would say would be R.J. Harvey, running back from UCF, going to the Broncos. I think that was a steal here. I think R.J. Harvey will be a great running back for Denver despite his size. Broncos definitely had a big need at running back, and R.J. Harvey is going to be a difference maker in that position. I also forgot to say TJ Sanders to the Bills, defensive lineman from South Carolina. Bills got that pick from the Bears in a trade, and this was definitely a big addition by the Bills to bolster up their defensive line. But in my opinion, the biggest steal this second round has to be Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. This guy should have been picked a long time ago. The talent is there. It's just off the field issues hindering his stock. If I was a GM, I would have taken this guy yesteryear. Do you know the last time that a Marshall player had legal issues and then he dominated the league? You don't know? That guy was a legendary Hall of Famer. One of the best players in that position. Of course, I'm talking about the Minnesota Vikings legend, Randy Moss. The talent level of Mike Green is kind of mirroring Randy Moss at this point. I feel that Mike Green could definitely be a monster in the league for Baltimore. He is a definite terrorizer alongside Roquan Smith and also Nnamdi Madubuike. That front seven's going to be deadly. And gotta say, with those first two picks that Baltimore had, they improved dramatically on defense. If I had to pick a shocker for this round, it would be Tyler Shock going to the New Orleans Saints at quarterback from Louisville. That was very surprising to me. He is absolutely the biggest project, in my opinion, at quarterback. Maybe he can learn something from Derek Carr. Not exactly going to learn something from Jake Hayner or Spencer Rattler. But maybe he might become a quarterback and prove everybody wrong. I don't know. Now on to the third round. Harold Fannin and Darius Alexander are definite honorable mentions for the biggest steal of the third round. Like, Fannin, I think, is going to be a very huge tight end. I was not expecting him to be drafted by the Browns. And Darius Alexander, I feel like he definitely is a first-round talent. at defensive lineman from Toledo. Toledo's got a great, good NFL experience ever since Quinyon Mitchell made an impact. I mean, this guy can play anywhere. Like, I think he'll be impactful no matter what they decide to do with him. I hope it's defensive lineman, his best position. 2 more honorable mentions. We had Azarie Thomas, corner from Florida State, going to the Jets, and Siobhan Revel from East Carolina going to Dallas. These were definitely some big steals here. I mean, Revel had a torn ACL, so that definitely hindered his draft stock, but he's definitely a very talented corner, I will say. And as far as Thomas goes, he's got great skills to start man coverage in the NFL. And his ball skills, they're above average, but I feel like this is definitely going to be a good learning experience for Zarie, especially under Aaron Glenn's tenure with the Jets. The Aaron Glenn system on defense should be interesting. My biggest steal, however, it's gotta be Kevin Winston going to the Titans, safety from Penn State. I think if it wasn't for a knee injury, he would have definitely been taken late first, early second round, because this guy is talented as hell. He can be a slot corner, he's great safety, height was 6'2", he's a great leader on defense, he's got natural ball skills that are just incredible. Just wow. Titans got a huge Kevin Byard replacement here. Oh yeah, also got to give a shout out to our 3rd round pick, Xavier Watts, safety from Notre Dame. That was a big Justice Simmons replacement if we end up not signing him to a contract. But as for the biggest shocker here, between Jalen Milroe and Dylan Gabriel, I gotta give it to Gabriel. 2 rounds from now, you're gonna see why. But Jalen Milroe's definitely close, because after the season he had, I don't think people were expecting him to be picked anywhere past the 4th round. But see how the Seahawks proved everybody wrong with that one. Mike McDonald obviously was with the Ravens for a while, and Jalen Milroe was definitely very close to it. Do I think he is going to be as good as Lamar Jackson? Maybe, but I think not. Is he going to be close? Probably. As far as Dylan Gabriel, though, he's a very experienced quarterback, but he is weak-armed and undersized. That didn't stop him from getting picked in the 3rd round by the Browns. But like I said before, 2 rounds from now, you're going to see the reason why I feel like this was a shocker. I'm skipping honorable mentions. I'm going straight to the biggest steal of round 4. I got Cam Skattebo from Arizona State going to the Giants. The only reason why he was not being thought of as a great running back is because of his lack of speed. That's it. Which I think is fucking ridiculous. Like, dude, you don't have to be the fastest guy on earth to be a great running back. Like, Cam Skattebo uses his great strength and good ball movements to be able to really make defenders miss and really wow everybody. I would know because I had the unfortunate scenery to have to watch my team get absolutely torched by him. He and Tyrone Tracy could be a 1-2 punch for the Giants' running game. Watch out for this Giants team. They're going to be very interesting. He is also a great pass catcher. Contact balance is mind-blowing. Absolutely unreal. He is gritty. He is tough. Giants got to steal with this one, most definitely. I'll say Cody Simon is the biggest shocker instead of Billy Bowman from Oklahoma that the Falcons got. Cody Simon was a bit of a wild card. He's great as a tackler, but other than that, that's pretty much it. Definitely raw in talent, but maybe the Cardinals could use him right. Who knows? And I say Billy Bowman is a shocker because, well, we already got a safety in Xavier Watts for Notre Dame. Why not add another turnover machine? Before I get to biggest steal, biggest shocker had to be the Shedeur Sanders because they're pretty much intertwined. Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, like nobody was expecting the Browns to pick both of them. Because now the quarterback situation for the Browns, they got 5 quarterbacks on their roster. You got Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, who they just drafted. You got Deshaun Massage Boy Watson. You got Kenny Pickett, who was involved in a trade from the Eagles. And you also got Joe Flacco, who was there for that team 2 years ago. And the Browns definitely betrayed the fans by getting rid of him. Then they brought him back like everything was going to be okay. My opinion on this depth chart, I think Joe Flacco's going to start. Deshaun Watson's pretty much going to miss the entire season, more than likely. Kenny Pickett's probably going to be the backup. And then the two rookies, Gabriel and Sanders, fight it out. Winner gets a roster spot, and the other, they go on the practice squad for another team and try to get some opportunities on some different squads. As far as my biggest steal, I gotta go with New England's pick at 146, Braden Swinson, edge rusher from LSU. Look, I understand he only had played 1 year and decided to enter the draft, but it was a spectacular 1 year. But if they can develop his talent, they can give him great skills like burst, bend, and power at the point of attack all in one. They could have a great pass rusher for the future. I think, in my opinion, this is a great pick by New England. Yes, I know my biggest shockers have all been in quarterbacks, but that's like the easiest position to figure out. So I'll do another position besides quarterback for this big shocker of round 6. Enter Ollie Gordon, running back out of Oklahoma State, picked up by the Dolphins. He had a standout 2023, was a Heisman candidate, but then fell flat on his back in 2024. But I think his talent is still there, reminiscent of a little bit of Chuba Hubbard on the Carolina, especially since Raheem Mostert's gone now. So now the duo is Achane and Gordon. That's going to be interesting to watch as well. Look, I don't normally go offensive linemen as far as steals in the draft, but Luke Newman, offensive tackle from Michigan State, that is definitely a big draft pick for Chicago here. He can block on the run and pass. As Ben Johnson utilizes more of a wide zone run, this is a big pickup for Chicago in his offense. Very nice pick here. And we are finally here at round 7. Obviously, you see the Falcons pick Jack Nelson, offensive tackle from Wisconsin. Like I said before, you can't go wrong with a Wisconsin player in the trenches. You can ask Travis Frederick, you can ask TJ Watt and JJ Watt. You can ask a lot of good players that came from Wisconsin in the trenches. Did I say the 5th round for Tom Grossi's pick? It was actually the 7th round. My mistake. But as far as the biggest steal, I don't know how the hell Brashard Smith from SMU fell this far to 228, but the Chiefs got a major addition to the run game. 3-headed monster incoming with Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, and Brashard Smith. Watch out for this running back core. I'm going back to quarterbacks for the biggest shocker here. It's Curtis Rourke from the 49ers from Indiana Hoosiers going to San Francisco. Obviously, he's the guy that was the quarterback of the Indiana team that made the playoffs this past year, but I was not expecting him to be drafted at least this high in the draft by the Niners at 227. But considering the quarterback depth behind Brock Purdy, maybe he can learn a thing or two from a former Mr. Irrelevant. And those are all the rounds here for this draft recap. You know, the undrafted free agents. Among the ones that the Falcons signed, we signed Nick Dash, wide receiver from San Jose State, a former Triple Crown winner from this past season, and also Kobe Bryant. I know he wasn't that much of a player last year, big player last year, should I say, but the previous year, the talent's there. But that is all from the draft recap. And good luck to every one of those 32 teams for this upcoming season. And that's going to do it for this episode of Grizzly Talks Football. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you give it a big fat thumbs up, big like button, hit that red subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single one of my next videos. This is the Grizz signing off for now, and until next time, I will see you guys next time. Peace!